Hell, bugler, aye, international, forge finna letter or word dat to dat. But so let's start again. Hello, buglers. It is International Forget the Final Letter of Words Day today, but sod it. Let's start again. There are too many international days these days.
That reminded me of when I was in a Carol Churchill play, Andy, where all the words just got boiled down to the letters B and K.
All right.
Very good for the Burger King franchise.
Carol Churchill was a big Burger King fan.
Today is also International Make-up and International Day of Something Day, ironically. And that's what I'm happy to observe. I'm Andy Zaltzman, or so it seems, on this International Perception Meets Reality Day. And I'm here in the historic Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, on this truly historically, uniquely, unfathomably, remorselessly, iconically historic multiple occasion International Lie About Where You Are Day, International Overstate the Significance of What You're Doing Day, International Belated but Insincere Apology Day, International Stretch a Joke Too Far and Alienate Your Listeners Before You've Even Properly Started Your Show Day, and
Every day.
and International Ignore the Rule of 3 Day. Anyway, joining me on this, issue 4378 of the Bugle, and also on International Appear on a podcast with one person you're blood related to and one person you're not blood related to, Dave.
I've messed it up.
I'm so sorry for this. In Dublin, Ireland, en route from Vancouver, it's Helen Zaltzman. Hello, Helen.
Hello, Andy. Pleasure to meet again.
And from Glasgow, Scotland, Josie Long. Hello, Josie. Great to have you both on the show. How are you, Helen?
Pretty jet lagged, Andy. Anything could happen, by which I mean absolute garbage could fall out of my mouth anytime. Just fade my mic down and then throw me into a bin.
Right. That's all right. I mean, you know this show. Absolute garbage is more than fine.
Okay, well, get ready for perfection.
I've expected nothing less than you from
I know,
the minute you were born.
Big psychological hurdle to get over, actually.
Yeah, I seem to remember you weren't entirely perfect at that brass band concert in Tunbridge Wells when you were about 5 months old. I may have mentioned before on this show.
We still talk about it.
Everyone still talks about it.
Josie, nice to have you back on the Bugle. How is your 2026 treating you?
It's a joy to be back. I've got some granular local news from the Pollock Shields area.
Oh, that's good.
Unfortunately, the Knits are back.
Oh.
And it's not even just a primary school. They are rife amongst the 3 to 5 room at the nursery. It's absolute knit carnage. Johnny, my kid's dad, a little kid came up to him in the nursery room when he was going to pick up our daughter, gave him a big hug, and then said, "Hi, I've got knits."
No.
So it's a real, the knits are back. Good news, however, the bumworms, they're on the way out. So, they give with one hand, they take with the other.
Which is, I think, how some of the bumworms are transmitted, actually. But let's move on from that. It is the 6th of May, 2026. But if it was the 6th of May, 1926, which it so easily could have been if we'd been doing this exactly 100 years ago, we wouldn't be doing this because there was a general strike on in the UK. So even if we had been recording this, it wouldn't have been worth publishing because producers Chris and Harry would have been banging on the windows of my shed shouting "scab, scab, scab," and rightly so. As always, the section of the Bugle is going straight in the bin. Tomorrow, the 7th of May, is World Password Day. Genuinely, that's a genuine world day. So we have a Bugle guide to how to make your passwords stronger, as advised by cyber securitologists around the world. They currently advise a combination of all of the following: use a pet's birthday, but not a living pet who might crack under interrogation and share that information, but a dead pet and one that belonged to someone else, ideally a dead celebrity, for example, Judy Garland's parakeet, who was named Papa Keith, or Charles Dickens's gerbil Ian. Also factor in a memorable sporting event, but it should be obscure. For example, the 4 scores posted by golfer Flory Van Donk at the 1954 Open Golf Championships. I'm not sure many people will go for that. Use the letters from the middle sentence of your favourite novel, but backwards. If your favourite novel has an even number of sentences, use the back half of the last sentence of the first half of the novel and the front half of the first sentence of the second half of the novel. Also, a non-numeric, non-alphabetical symbol, but not a regular one, something obscure like a hieroglyph from an undiscovered pharaoh's grave, or an as yet unproven mathematical formula. Also use the US nuclear code from the day of your favourite snooker player's birth date, and a chord sequence from your favourite glam rock hit, but shifted up 3 semitones to camouflage it a bit. And that should give you an uncrackable password, even in the year 2026. And also in the Bugle password section, we tell you what passwords great figures of history would have had. AI can now tell us such things. Julius Caesar, his password would have been Vini, Vidi, Vici, but with ones instead of the I's and fives instead of the V's. Queen Elizabeth I would have had single girls rule, ! And Sun Tzu would have had as his password the painting of fighting 554 BC, which is a twist on his platinum-selling classic Art of War, and the year of his birth. Anyway, that section is in the bin. Top story this week, the official Bugle review of Charles in America. Well, we previewed King Chuck's trip to reclaim the USA on last week's Bugle. Since when the visit has happened, 4 days of people sort of pretending that everything was fine, and King Charles delivering a couple of speeches that were sort of laced with burns, really, with slightly camouflaged snark directed at the Trump regime. I mean, as the old
sickest of regal burns.
As the old song should have gone, I wish it could be a state banquet and a scripted set piece speech every day, because it was just easier to deal with than we get the rest of the time. So just to remind you, the two protagonists, King Charles III, also known as @ChuckTheTrebles on social media, massive darts fan. For those of you not heard of him, a 77-year-old banknote model from London, Nepo monarch and former professional prince, who's thus far failed to oversee an Ashes victory in almost 4 years on the throne.
Starting to reflect badly on him, I think.
It is, isn't it? And Donald Trump, for those of you who not heard of him, the 79-year-old insurrection and irascibility fan, fact skeptic, empathectomy patient, and the self-styled Leonardo da Vinci of lying, division, and vitriol. It was an interesting combination of characters in this story. What did you both make of it?
Well, I wanted to ask you two, as comedians, how much would you have to be paid to punch up a speech by King Charles?
I actually thought about this because it's a 30-minute speech, and I listened to it, and there are actually some good jokes in it, right? But you have to factor in that is his whole job. That's all he has to do, is do that. So yeah, like, he doesn't have anything else to do, so he can do a 30 minutes that's full of good jokes. Like, I'd be able to do 30 minutes of good jokes if that was my whole job. Like, it's harder to do. Like, I've got other stuff I have to do as well. So and I also think the key thing to remember here is he's only done 30 minutes. So next year he can still be eligible for the Best Newcomer Award at the Edinburgh Fringe.
That is very important. I mean, it was kind of replete with historical gags. He quipped about
a lot of colonizer dick swinging there. A lot of daddy's home.
Oh, well, that's it. You know, they say tragedy plus time equals comedy. Here it was imperial exploitation plus time equals sort of royal comedy. But, you know, quips about the Boston Tea Party, the Brits trying to burn down the White House in 1814. It does suggest that King Charles has his eye on what is nowadays a more lucrative job than being king. That is history podcaster. So I mean, that could be what he was angling himself towards, I think.
This is exciting for me because this is actually going to be the first time I can showcase my Prince Charles impression that I've been working on since I actually started stand-up in 1999.
All right, okay.
So
I look forward to this.
Prince Charles. Camilla, I'm worried about the millennium bug. I've been listening to Californication recently. It's a good album, Camilla. Dial-up internet, Camilla. I killed Princess Diana, Camilla. Obviously, I have to update it, but, you know, I've just been practicing so hard for these 30 years.
That was uncanny.
That was.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So his history podcast will be, don't look into what my grandparents did.
mean, that's truly uncanny. We did stand up together in 1999, Josie.
We did,
and King Charles.
Prince Charles, as he was, yep.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see how different that So You Think You're Funny final would have been if you'd just done a solid 5-minute Prince Charles impression.
Maybe I would have beaten David O'Doherty.
Yeah.
I'm 17 years old, Camilla.
King Charles talks about the importance of supporting Ukraine, the need to protect the environment and the natural world, America and Britain's shared commitment to uphold democracy, the importance of the rule of law. So there are, I guess, two explanations for this speech. One is that the king hasn't watched the fucking news in at least 10 years, or he was delivering a series of oblique put-downs of Trump and everything he stands for. The problem being that nuance and subtext may be lost on Trump, whose antennae for these things, I think I may say, without fear of overstatement, are not overly finely attuned.
To be fair to him,
yep.
And I respond similarly to history podcasts that are monologues. I find it very difficult to pay attention.
You need a reenactment. And
Right.
this is the issue I have, actually. Right. It's all stupid, pointless theatre. Like, it's like when they were like, oh, the Queen's wearing a spider brooch. Oh, she's absolutely witheringly put them down. It's like, yes, and nothing has changed. She has done nothing. And like with this, you have a king in his big houses. He has so many swords. He is literally that was his job in the olden days. He should have shown
when he was
up.
in the army.
No, I mean 1,000 years ago.
He's not that old.
But, hey,
Yet.
we can't be sure. He gets the sword out. He goes to town on them all.
Right.
Like, that's what I want. I want a king returning to some kind of. He's mentioning the Magna Carta. If you're gonna talk the talk, walk the walk. Get a sword out. Get that big scepter orb thing. Whack it around. Like that would be useful on the world stage. Then all the headlines would be, England has a watch out. England,
We're back.
Yeah. And I'm saying England because I don't consider him the legal monarch of Scotland.
He said, please rest assured I'm not here as part of some cunning rearguard action, which is exactly what someone who is here as part of some cunning rearguard action would say. Also, what is cunning rearguard action, please? I didn't want to Google it.
It's the daintiest pornography you've ever heard.
Dainty pornography. I'm not sure that. I think that might be the only niche that hasn't yet been explored in that that art form. Trump, of course, is a man who communicates in all caps, whereas Charles is constitutionally constricted to communicate in subtext and footnotes. Maybe this is the future of diplomacy, just smartly dressed, plummily voiced subtextual snark. It basically boils down to two things, which is, one, when you've given something 250 years and it hasn't worked out, maybe it's time to accept that it never will. And two, if you hadn't started trying to cold brew our British tea in the salty waters of Boston Harbour, you wouldn't be in this mess right now. But he couldn't say that directly and out loud, so it had to come through this, like I say, this subtextual snark.
He pulled out the word semi-quincentennial, which is quite
That's
the
another
unnecessary
niche,
way
isn't
to say 250.
It's a good Scrabble score.
If you put that down in Scrabble, you're cheating. I guess, the lesson is that it's far easier to make a political speech that people approve of if you have absolutely no political power whatsoever, and it is basically performative cosplay diplomacy. That's why we kept the monarchy, I think, specifically for occasions such as this, when you need someone to say something without everyone on the internet calling him a straight away. So that's, I guess, that makes everything worthwhile.
It's not nothing, is it?
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Oh, yeah, well, exactly. That is the point. It is nothing, and that's why it's important. That nothing is something. We could just, there was one argument for just leaving the king in America permanently. We're ticking out. We've got backups in the royal family, not as many as we used to have, but still enough, I reckon. Charles seems to be the only person who can make Donald Trump put on his "I can just about behave like a sentient human being if I really want to" act, although obviously didn't last very long.
Half an hour. It's
Yes.
just an unreasonable demand, isn't it?
And, the day after the banquet, he was back on social media posting an image of himself holding a machine gun, At last, the bone spurs have cleared up, which is good news, and said no more Mr. Nice Guy. And I don't know if you did you spot the Mr. Nice Guy interlude? Was it just? I mean, it was fairly brief. Just a couple of added details that have emerged from the now traditional head of state karaoke session. Charles went with "Wherever I Lay My Hat." That's one of my many, many homes. Trump went with "Fools Rush In," and then they did a duet, which was "We're Raining Men."
Do you know what I would have really enjoyed if they'd have done a duet of "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me"?
Right.
Because that's one of my favourite things at the karaoke, because halfway through you have to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John." And obviously it never is. Very funny.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John, then, "Ooh, I can't lie."
Does that make Trump the George Michael in this equation?
I think so. I think
that's upsetting.
so.
A couple of minor sticking points in the negotiations over the USA's re-assimilation into the UK include how to pronounce potato, whether cheese should taste of anything, and whether games that involve hitting a ball with a bit of wood should or should not last 5 days. But we'll have full updates on those negotiations on the Bugle over the next 250 years. UK news and, elections are being held tomorrow as we record, Thursday, the 7th of May. It's been a bit of a weird time here in the UK of late. I've found it the last week or so up and down because I love snooker, but I don't like anti-Semitism. So it's been sort of good and bad, really. But we have elections tomorrow, which will basically show how no political party is capturing the public imagination. It looks like Josie in the national elections in Scotland, the Scottish National Party will retain power, but with a much lower vote share. Although the state of the other parties is such that if you right this minute launched a new party whose candidates were last year's leftover Halloween pumpkins and your only policy was to put a road cone on a bus shelter in Dundee, you'd probably come second in the election.
Already
tomorrow.
there, my friend.
Cool.
Already there. I accidentally featured in an SNP campaign video last week.
Oh, right. How did that happen?
Yeah. Nicola Sturgeon and the new SNP candidate were outside a shop in my neighbourhood called the Day to Day, which obviously ripe for fun. Shall we go to the Day to Day today? You know, is it the Day to Day to go to the Day to Day today? And it winds up my 4-year-old. So I was in there. It was Friday. I was in there with my big daughter, helping her. She can get sweeties on a Friday. This is a real existential crisis for her because she can't bear to choose a sweetie because then she won't have the other sweeties. So it's a big
Heartbreak.
it's a big part of every Friday to be considering this. And we're walking out. She's thrilled. She's chosen something which I regret buying her, which was it was like a dib dab, but the dippers were jelly sweets and the dib was jelly. And honestly,
I'm confused.
It's insane amount of I don't know, sour. There's a lot in it. Honestly, it felt like a mountain for an 8-year-old to climb, 7 3/4-year-old to climb. That's just background detail. You can edit that out. What happened was, I got on the sweetie, we were walking out, and I see in front of us, there's some people filming someone. And I sort of go, oh, they're filming. I don't want to be filmed, and then walk off. And then it came out that it was a film that Nicola Sturgeon was making, where she's like, we're in the heart of Pollock Shields. Here we are. We're on the campaign trail. And then you just see me in the background go, which I'm not even anti the SNP. You know, I have critical support for them when it comes to kind of certain things, you know, but I look furious.
So that could swing. That could swing the whole election.
For reform, yeah.
So that could be your fault.
I'm really worried because Reform are polling second in a number of Scottish constituencies. And unlike in England, they do have something akin to proportional representation here. So it is the only time in my life when I've been like, you should get the first past the post just in for this one. And then we'll go back to all the list stuff. But with this one, I think it's important to know who comes first.
As for the local elections in England, I mean, how people vote in local elections is quite nuanced. A range of considerations from, how much they dislike the current national government, how much they dislike the previous national government, how much they think they will dislike the next national government, the potholes on their street, a war 6,000 miles away, and whether candidates are promising to replace the local library and all its boring old books with a much more fun water slide. So it's quite hard to sort of interpret exactly what the nation thinks politically based on local elections. As I said, no parties have really captured the public imagination. Several have untethered themselves completely from the public imagination. So it's everything is in flux. No one knows quite what this country thinks politically. Least of all, this country itself has no idea who and what we are and why politically anymore. The Labour, less than 2 years since winning a big majority in the general election, albeit only thanks to the weird mathematicals of the first past the post system, are facing ballot box obliteration, and Keir Starmer's bizarrely incompetent leadership over these last 2 years is under increasing threat. They've had a number of missteps, Labour, from the Peter Mandelson appointment, various botching.
Misstep is a fun noun for what you're describing.
Well, it's a misstep in the sense that you might sort of misstep off a cliff into a crocodile pit. It's still a misstep, but
it is still a misstep. But you wouldn't want people at your funeral describing it thus.
That's a very fair point.
Especially not since you chose it with some evidence of crocodiles and cliff.
So
photographic evidence.
Stuck with that decision. That's the important thing. You've got to show strength. Once you've decided to make a bad decision politically, you have to then have the strength to stick with it, even when it's obviously wrong. That's how politics works. Anyway, it's not really worked out for them. Reform are struggling with racist candidates, economic fantasies. Nigel Farage taking £5 million gifts that he failed to declare.
How are Reform struggling with racist candidates? Isn't that their whole deal?
Well, yes.
They're struggling because they got so many. They can't even hold them all.
The clubhouse is teeming.
Can't fit them all in. It's quite hard to be optimistic about the state of politics. Being anti-Semitism from Green Party candidates, so Conservatives are tainted by association with themselves. It's basically interpreting the likely vote. It's basically going to come down to the overall message being, could we please have the ancient Romans back? At least the roads were decent.
Could we put the British electoral system in rice?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right.
Turn it off and on again. And it would be a real boost for the rice industry. There you go. And they've been struggling because of climate change.
Yeah.
So they could do with that. I am sad because all people often care about in elections is potholes. And there's a guy, Mr. Pothole, Mark Morell, 12 years. He's been a professional, I guess, pothole guy, agitator against potholes, superhero in the pothole sphere specifically and solely. And he's retired. We don't even have that champion anymore.
The man who filled potholes with pot noodles in 2023.
He did. And not just that, he drove a tank to Parliament Square to campaign. And in doing so, significantly damaged every road he crossed. It's a scam. The man's perpetrating them himself. So maybe actually now he's retired, the issue might subside because there won't be someone, backhanding the pothole lobby.
Potholes are a proud part of our national heritage. I mean, that's what Stonehenge, I think, began as just like marking out the outline of a pothole, and that's really what we've been ever since. I mean,
also people always talk about potholes. They're bad, but where else would we put our pots?
In summary, then, it does look like the ballots tomorrow will result in a resounding from the voting public.
I am very worried about Reform doing well. It does upset me massively.
Yeah.
I think it's really rotten. I also think in the past, when they've been elected to councils, they haven't actually obviously done well. in doing anything. I remember in Thanet, they didn't elect at the time Nigel Farage as an MP, but they did elect a full UKIP council, which is the strategy of, I won't let a fascist in Parliament, but they can do the bins. And it didn't work out well for them at all. And they've recently had quite a historic recent win in Cliftonville for the Greens. I know that, obviously there's been some issues with the Green Party, but obviously Zach Polanski, himself a Jewish man, a very cool guy, a very, very brave campaign that he's been waging against like all kinds of horrific messaging from the other political parties. I would love to see the Green Party do well in general. I think that in general, they are the only party that's offering like a hopeful solution. And then I saw as well that like Reform are like trying to troll the Green Party and Green Party voters by saying that they're going to open migrant detention centres in green voting areas if they get in, forgetting that 99% of people would much rather have migrant detention centres in their constituency than Reform voters. If there was a trade-off, I would please, for the love of God, let this be possible. And I think it's like, what is depressing to me is that their whole politics is the politics of spite. Their whole politics is basically like, this will trigger you, a complete like theatre of cruelty where people genuinely suffer. And like, it could, to me, I'm like, okay, if you're going to put detention centres in a constituency near me, maybe we can then allow those people to become a part of our community. Maybe we can then visit those people. Maybe we can then create a more community-based way to help people, and then that's where they'd be like, no, we didn't want you to enjoy it. We wanted you to be in pain. I think it's bleak, and I really, really do hope that we're surprised pleasantly that Reform don't do as well. But look.
Well, you see some of the classics being pulled out just ahead of the Greens maybe getting some votes, like Zach Polanski being called out for maybe not being a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy despite having claimed to be one. Scandal! If he's lying about that, what else is he lying about? The environment crumbling?
This prick wanting to make things slightly better?
It's a very woke way of looking at the world, trying to make it better. It's got to be stopped. It's got to be stopped. Canada horse news. Helen, you are the Bugle's horse infestation correspondent.
Happy to be here. And
the province of Alberta in Canada is... which, of course, famous around the universe for having no rats, fought an anti-rat war in the early 1950s involving brutal suppression of rats, show trials of the rat leaders and anti-rat propaganda. Since then, Alberta has been, like most prominent fast food chains, almost rat-free. But it is now dealing with an uncontrollable infestation of horses. Several million, perhaps more, feral equines are rampaging through the once peaceful landlocked Canadiac province, eating all the sugar lumps, holding unlicensed nighttime race meetings, and staring at people in that horsey way that can be so intimidating. What is Alberta doing to deal with this?
Well, Andy, they're talking about this unacceptable, quote, level of feral horses, which might not be millions, might be 2,000.
All right. Okay. So hard to tell these days.
They're suggesting putting the horses up for adoption or administering contraception in order to control population, because these horses love to fuck.
Right.
And there's a lot of people in Canada already dealing with the effects of forced adoptions and eugenic strategies via contraception in the Indigenous nations. And Alberta's like, well, worked on the humans, let's horse it.
Worked on the humans, let's horse it is a lovely phrase. You have to give them that.
Lovely and terrifying, Josie. Lovely and terrifying. And the Alberta government terms these horses to be not wildlife, but strays. The strays suggest that there's somewhere that they would have strayed from, but they're feral horses, so they've just strayed from, like, over there. In which case, what else? I mean, everything's a stray, isn't it? Except a tree.
And a stray tree is a boat, I guess.
Oh my God. Not in Alberta, it's landlocked, as you said.
All right. Yeah, good point. The results of Alberta's annual feral horse survey not only showed record numbers of feral horses, but also that the horses are politically split as never before and are struggling for motivation in a changing world.
Well,
but
the
I mean,
horses are just
survey-
gearing up for Alberta's maybe separatism referendum that allegedly
Right.
they have enough signatures to hold this autumn, but they have not yet verified whether those signatures are real.
Well, it's very hard for the horses to complete the survey because every question they have to do 1 knock for yes and 2 for no. And that takes a long time, Oh, it's a yes. It's a no. Every single question. And you'd be surprised at some of the questions on that survey. I'll tell you that for free. Favorite apple? It's not even a yes/no question. I'll tell you something. Actually, I did have an infestation of horses.
All right.
My flat is really infested in lots of different ways. And the problem with the infestation of the horses is you've got the sprays, and the sprays do nothing. You spray the whole place. The horses, I don't know what they do, but they do nothing. And the worst part is you're lying in bed at night, and outside the door you can just hear. But by the time you're up, you open the door, you turn on the light, you just hear. You listen. It's a very. I feel for the people of Canada because it's a difficult infestation to get.
And obviously, Helen, you live in neighbouring British Columbia. I mean, you must be very
right.
concerned about, platoons of feral horses being turfed out of Alberta and rampaging into your neighbourhood in Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, we got all those rat exiles. What next?
The Alberta government has issued a guide for what to do if you come face to snout with a feral horse. They suggest that you don't say "nice horsey," which wild horses find condescending. Don't say "wind it in, you overgrown donkey." That just riles them up. Don't say "free range is always tastier," in my opinion. And certainly don't say "you'd look much better with a jockey on you." But do say, "Would you like a job pulling a cart in my new costume drama set in the 1830s?" Or, "I'm neither going to lead you to water nor suggest what you should do when we get there. You're a wild horse. It's entirely up to you." And also, one option to calm that wild horse down is to say, "You do you, but might you consider doing it in Saskatchewan instead?" So
the horses don't respect the borders of Canadian states, do
And
they?
good for them.
Right.
But the rats do.
Yeah, the rats. Flying news now, and airline travel has been heavily impacted by the Iran war, or strop, or performative endurance conniption, or whatever it is now defined as. But private air flight has been doing very well. It does seem that the ultra wealthy, for whatever reasons, seem generally better at not being affected by global upheavals. No one knows why. Could be luck. Could be that the ultra wealthy have slightly different DNA to regular humans that makes them more immune to not being able to afford stuff. It could simply be that they pray harder and sacrifice better oxen to the gods. We don't know, and we probably never will, but global private jet flights in 2026 are up almost 5% on the equivalent period from last year, 2025. And this despite fuel costs going up. Private aircraft users have determinedly, heroically even, continued to support the private jet industry. So I guess it's a good news story, isn't it? It's good news to come out of the Iran war that someone's benefiting from it, and that someone is private jet companies.
Yeah, I often find myself saying, "Oh no, what about the super rich? Will they be okay? Please, somebody think of them." And I do think private aviation booming amid airlines cancelling flights due to an entirely confected, horrific war is a metaphor for inequality in societal and climate collapse that many observers are describing as too on the nose.
I mean, the private jet industry is one of the world's leading performers in the increasing environmentally damaging emissions into the atmosphere category. And I guess it's sort of understandable that the hyper-rich would want to fly more because they're no longer allowed to blow cigar smoke into the faces of children because, well, one, there are so few places you can smoke in public these days, and also because of the woke. So they've understandably sought an outlet via the less direct medium of spewing poisonous gases into the faces of all humanity. It's not as fun, but actually it is more impactful. So
It's
again,
more
that's
fair.
yeah.
And billionaires love fairness.
Yep.
They do.
Oxfam released a report that stated that billionaires emit more carbon pollution in 90 minutes than the average person does in a lifetime. So they're really high achievers.
Yeah.
Not optimizing.
Yeah.
They also, the private jet industry, the emissions from private jets is equivalent to the emissions from the entire nation of Tanzania. So you've got to say to the people of Tanzania, you've got to up your game, guys. You're being humiliated here.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing with this beautiful mountain that you got, but you've got to light it on fire or something because you are lagging.
Snooker news now, and if you wanted any further proof that the world in 2026 has become an extremely strange place, you just need to hear this headline. OnlyFans model interrupts World Snooker final to protest against BBC licence fee but forgets to take her top off as planned. Where is there left for this stupidest century ever to go from here? I mean, it does feel like the entire millennium so far is almost encapsulated by that headline. I mean, this protest from happened. Protest? I don't know if you can call it that, but anyway, it happened in frame 3 of the first. It's so hard to get tickets to the World Snooker Final. Why would you do your protest in frame 3 and get chucked out? Surely you'd wait till frame 8, the last frame of the session, or do it.
Yeah, Andy, here's the thing. I think you've confused because you don't know what the website OnlyFans is.
Oh, right.
So you're assuming that she is a fan of snooker, and I would argue that
I
she
see.
probably isn't actually that much of a fan of the snooker.
Okay, right. I mean, OnlyFan, when I did my first solo Edinburgh show, that was my first show. I had my OnlyFan in one ticket sale.
I was thinking about this because it does actually have debut Edinburgh Hour vibe. Because in this, because you've got the sort of crazed streaker. You've got earlier on in the finals they had somebody shout out, "Never forget the Epstein files."
Yes.
And you have phones repeatedly going off. That is the full Edinburgh debut hour experience for the new enfant terrible of snooker.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. But I would argue, I would say that the Crucible has been a really unpredictable venue ever since it's been there. Like ever since 1638, when Goody Proctor sent her familiar to repeatedly pinch Abigail Williams. And, the Crucible wasn't an easy place to be.
Does it count as a streak if someone is fully dressed? Because the press is describing this as a streak, but she appears to be fully clothed. I just want to clarify the semantics.
Aren't we all streaking all the time?
Under our clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. I mean, luckily, the intrusion happened in the first half of the first session on day 1 of the 4 sessions across 2 days final. So both players were able to recover from the cosmic weirdness of an OnlyFans model interrupting the World Snooker Final to protest against the BBC licence fee, but forgetting to take her top off as planned. But whether that repressed trauma of the incident affected Shaun Murphy in the deciding frame late on Monday night when he made a crucial error that allowed the young Chinese star Wu Yizhe to clinch the title with a sumptuous break of 85, only Shaun will know. As you mentioned, it followed another interruption in Wu Yizhe's semi-final against Mark Allen in the deciding frame amid scenes of phenomenal snooker tension, with the players tied at 16 frames all. When after Allen had missed a simple pot to win the match in the previous frame, when someone in the audience chose that moment to shout, "Never forget the Epstein files." As yet, I mean, it's quite a weird place and time to shout that out. There's no proven link between the Epstein files and professional snooker. I mean, amongst the people who have been mentioning it. Well, exactly. But with Donald Trump, Bill Gates, Peter Mandelson, Elon Musk, ex-Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, all mentioned, none of them professional snooker players, whereas Welsh 1981 World Snooker Championship runner-up Doug Mountjoy, conspicuous by his absence, along with the likes of Australian safety play specialist Eddie Charlton and former world number 11 Dave Harold. None of them mentioned in the Epstein file. In fact, no professional snooker players were, as far as we know, ever invited to play exhibition best of 35 frame matches at any of Epstein's properties.
I find all of this, it's so surreal. It's quite exciting to have such unpredictable interventions, even for me, like with the OnlyFans streaker, she comes out, she says, nobody pays their TV license. And I think, well, I do. I don't agree with this. And he said, fuck the BBC. And I think, oh, that's a bit much. Obviously, I have some complaints with the news department sometimes, but I wouldn't say fuck the BBC. Fuck the snooker. Well, I'm not interested in the snooker. Fuck everybody. Big up Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yeah. She did put something for everyone in there. Yeah. You just had to listen.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this week's Bugle. We have a week off next week. We'll put out a sub episode for you with pure, unadulterated gold, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with Josh Gondelman and Alice Fraser. Josie, anything to plug?
Not at all, but I would like to ask the powers of divine creativity to give me some ideas if they're listening.
Okay, they are listening. Helen?
Well, I have other podcasts. I have The Illusionist, an entertainment show about how language works, and Answer Me This, the original podcast. Don't fact check. That has returned.
Definitely top 3 originals.
Yeah, all right, top 3. Don't fact check. That has returned for round 2. Is nearly 20 years old, and both Josie Long and Helen Zaltzman have been on it. So, what more reason can you need to listen to it?
I have one more show on my current Zaltgeist tour in Bury St Edmunds on Saturday, the 9th of May. If you can't come to that, then I'll probably do another tour within the next 20 years. Hopefully, fairly early on in that 20-year period, but maybe within 18 months or so. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for listening. Until next time, goodbye.